When you play the Game of Thrones,
Subscribe and like.
you die. There is no middle ground.
All right, hello YouTube. Welcome back to the Grease God YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to be doing a day 22 of the 25 days of Winds of Winter. And in today's video, it will be all about our favorite sellsword, Bronn. Now, Bronn is a character that largely has become a very supporting minor character within the story. We haven't even actually seen him in a POV chapter since A Storm of Swords. So in terms of predicting him for Winds of Winter, quite difficult when he's been out of the story for 2 books. Now, the show went a very different route with Bronn. Bronn became much more of a staple of the show. He was somebody that didn't just disappear, for instance. He unfortunately got involved in the Dornish plot in season 5, and he got wrapped up in Jaime's plot some more in season 6, and season 7 and 8 he was doing more shenanigans. He was a character that very much largely got their role increased from the books. Now, with the books, what can we predict or what can we expect from Bronn? Now, off the screen or off the page, he was somewhat involved in Cersei's plotline, a very minor plotline involving the Stokeworths. As we know, he is married, Lawless Stokeworth, but that isn't the end of what he wants to do, right? He actually thwarts a plan by Cersei to get Bronn killed because Bronn names Lawless's child Tyrion. Quite disrespectful, given Cersei believes Tyrion basically destroyed her entire life. And so she sends Sir Balman Birch to basically kill him. Now, Sir Balman's not the smartest and challenges him basically to a joust, planning on injuring him and then killing him. And well, Bronn's smarter than that. Bronn impales Sir Balman's horse and then kills him. And then at this point, Bronn claims lordship over Castle Stokeworth and that he is the new lord. He banishes Felice Stokeworth from the castle as she goes back to Cersei, and Cersei, being the ever lovable person that she is, she gives her to Qyburn, who Qyburn tortures, kills, does experiments on, whatever you want to imagine. And so at this point, Bronn has become the Lord of House Stokeworth, as also Lady Tanda has died from an apparent chill. So what does this mean in terms of the story? Now, Castle Stokeworth is very close to King's Landing, and so Bronn doing some of these actions is quite ballsy, you know, given the fact that he is so close to Cersei at this time. But what I do think is interesting is, given the fact that we know Cersei is going to have way more things on her mind, and I think this will be mainly a subplot that is not going to be as involved as it was even in Feast for Crows. Maybe we'll get a couple mentions here of what Bronn's doing, but I could very easily see Bronn either, one, going to young Griff's side and getting basically, you know, revenge on Cersei for trying to fuck him over. I could very easily see a situation where that occurs. Bronn is somebody that is very good at seeing where the wind is turning and giving himself a nice little piece of reward. So I think that's very possible that Bronn takes the Stokeworth forces, lands, incomes that he's now gotten more through guile and deception and all these other things, and backs young Griff. I could also see a scenario in which Bronn lets things play out at King's Landing and waits. And maybe that would allow him then to go with Daenerys. I do think, just based upon proximity and where all these things are going to be happening, remember, I don't even think Daenerys is going to necessarily land by the time young Griff takes the throne. And you have to remember, at this time, if young Griff takes the throne, likely he will have defeated the Tyrell forces. He will have defeated any force or resistance left at King's Landing. Cersei will have more than likely have gone back to Casterly Rock. Bronn would be given every inclination to actually back young Griff. And so if I was going to predict what Bronn does, I think it's more like 70-30 that he's going to join young Griff. Maybe that 30% being he holds out and goes for Daenerys and Tyrion. But I don't think Bronn is somebody that's just blindly loyal to Tyrion. I think Bronn has a respect for Tyrion, but he's not going to wait on these rumors of things going on in the East and what Daenerys is doing. I think he would see that, yeah, young Griff is this kid that's taking the throne. The Golden Company have come back to Westeros. He's done all these great victories, all these different things. I think he would see where the wind is turning. And so I expect fully, if we are going to see Bronn in a POV at all in Winds of Winter, again, it's an outside shot. I don't know if we will see Bronn in the next book through a POV. Could we hear about him, becoming the new Lord of Stokeworth, maybe some of the policies he's doing? What is he doing, gearing up for some sort of war or battle or coming to this side or that? Maybe. I think that's way more likely, but if we were to see Bronn, I think likely we would see him through the eyes of Jon Connington or Arianne when they are marching either to take the throne, maybe, again, because to get to King's Landing, Stokeworth is very close. Now, they won't actually hit Stokeworth. Castle Stokeworth is kind of to the north east of King's Landing, so they won't necessarily hit it, but if the Golden Company do try to gain more men, they maybe take some of these other castles out alongside of around King's Landing before they take it. Very easily, you could see Bronn becoming a character that is negotiating with a character like Jon Connington specifically, or maybe even Arianne is present in the room, whatever you want to suggest. I think that's the most likely way, or if it's Bronn coming to court to maybe pledge fealty to Jon Connington, Young Griff, and the Golden Company as a whole. I think that's the way we would see Bronn. Now, what is Bronn necessarily looking for? He has a castle. He does have a wife. He has gained quite a lot from the beginning of the story. Could he be looking for more? Now, I think that's very obviously yes. He could be looking for more just based upon the fact that he is somebody that's trying to gain wealth, influence, all those things. All of his actions have led to those things. Now, Castle Stokeworth, House Stokeworth, maybe a respectable house within the Crownlands, but they're not that big, right? So maybe Bronn is trying to gain even more. Maybe he's trying to gain a bigger castle, a better wife, and whatever. More incomes, more lands. That's all could be possible. Maybe because he is somebody that may turn to Young Griff earlier than a lot of other Crownland lords, maybe he's looking to gain some of the land of the neighboring areas around him. That's very possible. Could Bronn try to get some land from the Rosby land? That's very close to where Castle Stokeworth is. Maybe they could try and even extending to trying to get some ports, maybe around Duskendale. Who knows what Bronn could be looking to do? But again, given the proximity that Stokeworth is in terms of House Rosby, very easily could see him trying to gain some of that land. And when you even get further into this idea about Rosby, Giles Rosby dies, and he doesn't have any true heirs. There's 6 people that are seeking to inherit Rosby that are put forward in A Dance with Dragons. But in a situation where Bronn, who is very clever, would easily try and take over Rosby, I don't think it's a bad idea. What if Bronn came to basically Jon Connington and said, okay, I will pledge to you, but I want to get the Rosby lands. That could be an interesting idea. That is the biggest I can see Bronn taking a big step up in the next book. I think this is the best case scenario for Bronn. The worst case scenario for Bronn in terms of us as a reader getting more information on him as a character is he's just a footnote. We hear about some of maybe his dealings of gathering men to his side at Stokeworth, or Castle Stokeworth, I should say. Also, castles that are just literally named after the last names of houses, not a fan. Makes it very confusing to talk about. But either way, let me know what you guys think. Do we see a lot of Bronn in the Winds of Winter? And if we do, what do we see of him? Where do we see him through which POVs? I think most likely it's going to be through Jon Connington or Arianne. I would be shocked if it was through Cersei's eyes. If we saw Cersei and Bronn have some sort of confrontation about what's been going on. Very unlikely in my opinion, especially with how much Cersei has to do in King's Landing. But I hope you guys have all enjoyed. Maybe Bronn gets another castle, some more lands, becomes a bit richer, and that's more or less where I see him going in Winds of Winter. I wouldn't say he goes much further than that, but in A Dream of Spring, when Tyrion comes over with Daenerys, that's when things could get very interesting. But I'll see you guys all in tomorrow's video, where we will be talking about Qyburn, a very mysterious character that we just don't have a ton on. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.